Hey, we're live. Hi, everybody. Hope the clarity's okay. Clean the lens a little bit. We're gonna harvest some vegetables today, and if we don't like this camera angle, we'll change it. So it is the 25th of August, 2017. Yeah, lots of good stuff in the garden, and I think today I can do a major harvest. So I'm gonna go around and pick things, and you get to watch. How exciting. This is my gardener's toolbox made by B&O Craftsman, Chris. Check out his channel. And this is an old collecting thing that I've had for a long time. I'm going to go around with this and then put them in here. So, turn some music on in the background. Do-do-do-do-do-do. I'm going first for the gourds, as you can maybe guess. You're on a fish bowl view. Oh, they're so cute. A ton of little decoratives over here. None of them are to a point that I'd want to pull them. That's a good yellow looking squash, but it's not large. There's decoratives. Nice. So I've already taken down like 4 spaghetti squash, I think. We've cooked 2, one went to my mom, one went to my mother-in-law. So they've been enjoyed. You know, I think this one over here actually is as big as it's gonna get. So I'm just gonna poke. Not too sizable, but it is what it is. There's a lot of super cute gourds. Can you see that orange through there? That's my giant pumpkin. I don't want to step on any important part of the vine. That would be a shame. There's a little pumpkin over there. Pumpkin. Oh, I got some nice butternut squash. Here's a good spaghetti. I think this is done. Done. Another nice one. Oh, that pumpkin is so awesome looking. It's heavy. A lot of decoratives, a lot of ornamentals. Oh, there's some raspberries. I deserve a treat, don't I? Of course I do. So what are you up to today? Why are you sitting inside watching the live stream? Instead of going out and gardening? Are you at work? I got a handful of butternuts, but they're too small still. That's okay. Oh, what's this? It's another butternut, but it's still yellow. There's one there. Some giant zucchini. Yeah, another butternut, that was good. Good, so the spaghetti squash is pretty much done. Take a look. I don't know if I can, here, if I stand up, can you see me? That's how tall I am? Yeah. So, butternut's looking good. It's a nice yellow and white. All the green has gone. Ouch. So sharp. There. See, that's nice and yellow. It's so small though, but that's okay. It'll be delectable. This one can just ripen inside. They sound good. I'll stick it in there. I'm going to turn you over to the side. We're going to angle over this way now. And poor connection. Yes, thank you. I know I have poor connection. Here, we'll move you closer to the house. But then you won't be able to see anything. Oh well. Connection better? Connection sucks here too. That's fine, you can deal with the poor connection. I mostly just want you to see my food as I pick it. That's why I got the fisheye lens on. Hello all four of you. Thanks for the 2 thumbs up. Okay, we're just repositioning. You know what, I'm going to put a different lens on, see if you like it. Hold on a second. That's not the different lens. That's without a lens. Let's put on the wide angle. Oh, you guys are dropping like flies. Okay. Let's do that. No, then you can't see the food. No, I'll turn it back. Hope you're not dizzy. My face scared you? Scared me. Alright. Good. Glad we could solve that problem together. Hello from Verona, Italy. Buongiorno. Or maybe, let's see, it's 3 o'clock here, so buonasera, maybe? Either way, thanks for watching. Gotta get some tomatoes and zucchini now. Real nice zucchini. So of course we'll pick the heaviest things first. Look at this. This thing's as big as my forearm. That's it on that plant for now. And ones over here. It is. Snap this off, another one. Huh. How interesting. One of my zucchinis is on the vine and it's completely flaccid, almost rotten. Really interesting. These tomatoes are delectable. I'll show you in a second how nice they look. Cluster of 4. We're having friends over tomorrow, so I'm cooking a whole bunch of food today and tomorrow morning. Kind of a farm to table. And then they're welcome to take some of the vegetables home with them that I don't use. Or else some family members will get them, or we'll can them, or whatever. Kind of fun when you get a whole bunch of things at one time, but you never know what to do with them, right? Always so many options. My tomatoes turned out really good this year, really well. I planted 3 plants. 1 for little small cherry tomatoes and then 2 for these big ones, and I like these big ones. I think that's good enough over here. I'm going to leave the rest of the gourds and such for the fall, probably in another month or month and a half. I'll pick those ornamentals. So let me show you the difference in the tomatoes. Yeah, so this is one of the kind of tomatoes. It's pretty big. It's almost the size of my fist, as you can see here. And then these other ones have kind of some pretty orange and red striping on them. You can see the size. I call this a medium and I call this a large tomato. These are great for BLT sandwiches. Slice them up real thick. Put them here. And maybe I'll stick that over there. Yum, 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 yum. Oh, here's that monster zucchini. Hello? It's not a phone. It doesn't work that way. Did you know? Sweet potatoes are still underground. Let's take a look at peppers. See if you can see peppers. Yeah, you can see peppers there. Hello, all three of you. So the pepper section is over here. It's also the weeds section. I just kind of stopped caring. That monster zucchini needs to become a zucchini cream soup. Yeah, actually, it's probably going to get pureed and it's going to be made into bread. We love doing zucchini bread. I used one of them for a giant stuffed zucchini. Oh, it's great. It's like meatloaf inside zucchini with all sorts of other things from the garden like onions and tomatoes and such. So let's check out our peppers. Thumbs up if you like this awesome gardener's box that my friend Chris made for me. Okay. This pepper plant fell over prematurely. I'm surprised that it lasted as long as it has. It's still producing some decent peppers. Like, take a look. That's a perfect pepper right there. This species is a little bit smaller than the stuff that you see in a store around here. The stuff in the store is maybe 30% larger, but I mean, so flavorful. You can't even compare it. These small ones I'm going to let go a little while. The jalapeno crop was terrific. Gotten more than a dozen off of this one plant alone already. Keep going. There's one that fell to the ground. We love green peppers. We make this delicious pepper soup. We do it with spaghetti or butternut squash too. It's one of the reasons why we planted so many peppers and so much butternut squash. We didn't plant the thistles, they're just here. That's a good one. There's a big one. Nice one. Nothing growing on this one, which, well, that's not true. There's one here. Maybe I pulled a few from this already. That could be. This one's got some beauties. Beautiful. Oh, they're perfect. Oh, they just snap right off. Nothing to it. It's like a decent gust would blow them away. There's half a dozen pepper plants in here, by the way. In case you're wondering. What 100 dozen thistles, though. Oh, here's a big one. And another winner. Here. Perfect. So I've already started collecting my material for what's going in this area next year. Starting at the fence, which you'll see in a minute, I'm going to do a couple raised beds, and then in between the beds we're going to have like just a bunch of wood chips and cedar mulch and stuff, like a ton from the town of Oshkosh. They give it out for free, and I'm not growing in it, so I don't care what's in it. In fact, I kind of hope walnuts in it, so it just kills anything that wants to grow underneath it. I'm going to put 6 to 9 inches of mulch down. They're just walking paths. So that'll hopefully take care of the thistles, and then the fact that I'm going to have my raised beds up almost to my hips, the thistles aren't going to go through that. I'm actually planning on using a German technique called Hügelkultur, hill culture. You build it up halfway with decomposing wood, and in a small way, well, and then of course you fill it with regular soil and mulch and compost and all the other stuff on the top. It helps you control the kind of soil that you're working with. I can keep it nice and loose when I want to plant more root vegetables like beets and carrots and turnips and radishes. I don't know where I'm going with this. Oh yeah, but the decomposing of the logs keeps that temperature of the wood a little bit, or temperature of the bed a little bit warmer, just slightly. But it helps retain moisture like you wouldn't believe. I've seen a lot of positive results from different YouTube channels, so I'm going to give it a try myself. Anyways, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 peppers. They're all about like this. Here's my fist. Here's the pepper. They look perfect. They're so fragrant. They're aromatic without even cutting into them, which is wonderful. And then I pulled 3 full peppers and one that fell off like an accident. This kind of looks like a green index finger. These are not spicy. They're really low on the jalapeno spiciness scale. I know there's a scale for that. I don't know what it is. I'm sure one of you probably does, because you're smart. Put my tomatoes back here. Got some ground cherries in this section that I picked from earlier. I'll stick the jalapenos underneath the zucchini. Jalapeno. We had a new Mexican restaurant open up in town. Los Jalapenos, I think it's called. So good. Oh man, some authentic tequila that they use. I'll tell you that. Fresh made guacamole, like this lady walks around in a cart and makes up some guac. It's very good. In case you're just tuning in, we're picking a whole bunch of stuff from the garden. There's a lot of bounty at this time. I might even have to empty this and come back. Next section we're going to do, I'm going to go into the Brussels sprouts and cauliflower section. The cauliflower looks gross, tastes just fine. I'm going to be cooking those up into little cauliflower bites this weekend. So essentially putting them through the food processor and pureeing it, not pureeing it, just breaking it up and adding some Parmesan cheese and some onions and some parsley, a little bit of egg, and you make them into a ball and then you bread them and deep fry them. Oh, they're delectable. And it's a good way to use some of the ugly looking cauliflower. The Brussels sprouts are not ready to be picked. They will be picked after the fall. So, we'll turn you around. Cool. And actually, I'll bring you out so you're not covered by beans. They're a magical fruit. And that's cardboard, in case you're wondering. That's helping me with a walking path and keep junk down like weeds. Okay. My invasive species are ground cherries. Ironically enough, because I planted more of them this year, without knowing they were going to come back up, and they ended up coming back up in spots that I didn't want them to come back up. Again, like any other weed, that'll be treated with how I'm doing my beds next year. Let's see. You know, this is a failure right here. Everything else looks good. This does not. Not entirely certain what I did, but it's a disaster. All sorts of colors. So that one's just going to be composted back into the earth. Alas. Cauliflower looks like an alien spawn. I did not blanch enough of these as well as I should have, / at all. That's why they look weird. They'll have more of a bitter taste. But again, the way I'm preparing them, doesn't matter. This one's a failure too. Looks like the other one. Some some of this one will be fine. Maybe I can salvage some of this. Yeah. Yes. Yes, I can. Oh, if you hear a dog, looks like my wife let the dog out. That's a perfect looking one. This one again looks kind of gross. What the heck did I do? Essentially, I'm harvesting all of my cauliflower at once. Now this one is beautiful. Holy cow. I can't wait to show this to you. You know, this whole row actually was ugly. There was 1, 2, 3 bad ones. Huh. Oh, just gotta spin it around like you're breaking someone's neck. Like what I would imagine breaking someone's neck is like. We're dog sitting another dog right now. In case you hear multiple dogs in the background, that's my dog playing with an older dog. My dog is 8 months old and about 80 pounds. He's a big boy. His name's Moose. And he's playing with a 5-year-old German Shepherd who's 10 pounds lighter than he is. And he doesn't get that he's got puppy energy but dog strength. That's something. Last one. Ah, that's him. Perfect. Cauliflower's all done. Oh, later on after the live stream this weekend, I'll come out here and clean this up. Put these leaves and stuff in the compost. I'm going to turn you around so you can take a look at what I got. It's quite an abundance. Hello, 6 of you. Welcome. All right. So, a ton of cauliflower. Let's go over the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good. Look at this. This is beautiful. And this is beautiful. They're nice and tight curds. The head is fully formed. It's smaller than what you see in a grocery store because it's not the main variety of cauliflower. It's a little bit more yellow. It's going to be so good. So good, so good. You keep it white by blanching it, so essentially wrapping the leaves around it. I wasn't as proactive on all of these as I should have been. When you don't blanch so well, the curd goes a little crazy. You see how it's growing shoots out because there was nothing holding on to it, nothing wrapping it tight. It's all right. So I got a bunch of these little ones from things that I didn't wrap well. Again, that's fine. And then this was the ugliest one, but I'll still be able to use parts of it as a last measure. You see some of it's turning brown and some of it's turning purple. You know, actually on second thought, I don't think I'm going to use any of that. Oh yeah, it all just broke right apart. That's okay. So it goes. Yeah, this is part of that too. You know, it almost looks like some of it got burnt by the sun. Yeah, gosh, I can't use any of that. Sorry, I hit a Brussels sprout. Don't know who I'm apologizing to. Look, this is some of those shoots that were growing out of it. Imagine like this. Or like a curd going like that. And it's purple. Oh, and you know what? These are flowers. It's cauliflower flowering. You ever seen such a pretty thing? Gosh, now that I look at it, I should have let it go. It's a shame. Alright, so this is going to make, obviously, a ton of food. We have more here than I need right now, which is good. I'll be able to save some of it and give probably the more pretty things away to guests and family. Whenever you pick cauliflower from a garden, what I like to do is submerge it in water that's super saturated with salt. That helps that any sort of worms or bugs that are in the cauliflower, they just crawl out and die, and then you can cook up your food. Of course, they die if you were cooking it up, you know, and boiling it too, but then you might bite into a bug, and that could be offsetting to guests. Oh, I'm going to put these next to this in an attractive manner. Cauliflower down. You guys listening to any good music these days? Anything new? I've been listening to a lot of Fleet Foxes. Just relaxing, cleaning music and such. Alright, let's turn around. We're gonna pick a bunch of beans. Bunch of beans. I'm gonna put you in the ground cherries while we pick a bunch of beans. Sun's kind of a weird spot right now. Hello, 7 of you. Nice of you all to tune in spontaneously. There's the garden gate that I just got done finished making. Isn't it pretty? It's purple. The sun is up here, so I know the resolution's not the best. I could have you come from the different angle, but you wouldn't be able to see much. Oh, hey, Chris. Have you noticed your gardener's tool box? I've been using it all day in this video. Actually, that's where the final things are going. I've been picking them in this. So, left or right? Lots of beans. We got green beans on this side that I'm picking here, and wax beans and purple beans on this side. I have a bad habit of letting the beans grow too large, and then they're too tough. So it's good that I'm out here now. Ever grown pole beans before? I think they're the most fun thing to grow. They kind of hide on you. A scavenger hunt. That one's a little too big. There's just so many of them too, and you know, the plants are really pretty when they flower. A ton of flowers on there, obviously. Every flower equates to a bean. Maybe that's not obvious to you, but every flower equates to a bean. I got tons. And you know, I planted fewer beans than last year. That's not true, actually. I planted just as many beans. I planted fewer purple beans, more green beans. Few flies out here today. Kinda bugging me. You get it? The bugs are bugging me? So funny. Oh my gosh, you guys. This is free entertainment. I'll be growing the pole beans again next year. Similar fashion, different apparatus. It's going to kind of round like this. And it will, of course, provide more beans than I can possibly handle. It's good that I can give them away. It's always fun to give food away. Friends and family or the food pantry. See, a few in here that are way past their prime. Never even saw them. They're tough as wood. Oh, gross. And some of them are turning purple, which is strange because they're not beans. What is that? The excess anthocyanin? Something like that. Sounds about right. I'm smart. Finally going to finish my master's degree this year. Got my classes all figured out for the fall. The cluster. Kinda cool. They definitely hide. Oh, they're so prolific. So prolific. Oops. Look at all this, and this is just the green. This is one side of one side. I'm going to leave the other side for later, I guess, but I'll pick the insides of the purple and the wax beans now. Good thing a lot of my plants didn't come up as seedlings when I planted them. I had to do succession planting several weeks later on this side. So hopefully when this is tinkering out, I'll have lots to eat over. Oh, these wax beans are my favorite. They're in the shape of a fish hook. I think they're called Sultan's earring. They're just good. Next year I'm not planting any more purple pole beans. They, at least the kind that I plant, we don't like the texture. Flavor's fine, but the texture is not. Whereas these Sultan's earrings, they're wax beans, they've great taste, great texture, all that jazz. And they're so cute. Got a couple spiders in here, that's different. My wife's got a good bean salad recipe. Not salad niçoise, something else. I was never very good at squatting and crawling. I'm too large for that. And these purple pole beans are too large to do anything. Oh, jeepers. Maybe that's just how big they come. I think they're more impressive to look at than anything, honestly. Again, the flavor is good. And maybe if you're of the cooking mindset where you, like, cook your vegetables, you know, like the generation of boomers who grew up with a bunch of canned vegetables and they felt the need to cook everything and boil it. I like to steam my vegetables to keep some texture on them, and you retain more flavor and more of the vitamins. But I suppose if you just cook the hell out of them, you'd never be able to tell the difference. You'd just be able to tell something was in your mouth, because, I mean, they're 8 inches long. Hey-oh. Very seductive plant. And prolific. This would be Instagram worthy, but I'm live streaming. That's okay. We'll take a still shot from the footage later on. So, behold the beans. Green, wax, and purple. So the purple ones next to my face, you can see they're about 8 inches like I was talking about. And these green beans are just normal green bean pole beans. They taste like what you'd expect. And the wax beans, these are called Sultan's earrings. You can see why that, like, sitar, is that what it's called? No, that's the instrument. The scythe, the Middle Eastern knight sword from the 1100s and such, like a sultan's sword. I digress. I'm going to put this in my gardener's toolbox. Put them in this entire section here. I'll move my old ground cherries out. And there's one lone tomato. Let's see, are these still good? Of course they are. Those have been sitting there for like 2 weeks. Oh, they're so good! Ow, 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 ow. I just got stung. Must not show weakness on camera. Couple beans. Oh, meine grüne Bohnen. Schau mal. God, there's so many. I am my own farmer's market. Dee 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 dee. Never realized the capacity of this thing. Good thing it's sturdy, because it's heavy now. Yeah, we already looked at those. And you know what? The sun has gone down behind this giant oak tree enough where I think I can keep you there and turn you around while I harvest ground cherries. That's what we're going to do. To everything, turn, turn, turn. Let's see, what can you see? You can see... Oh yeah, that's not that good. Hello, 5 of you. I'm going to move you over here, actually. We're going to walk through some of the ground cherries that have tipped over. I don't care if I'm walking on them. put you by what's left of the onions. I've been harvesting onions left and right. Very bad connection, it says. Oh, that's because I'm quite far away from the house. Oh, maybe we're going to have to suck it up and go back in the middle. Because you just went from poor to very bad connection. Or very bad to poor. There we go. Now we're just back at poor connection. Alright. Oh. And look who's coming out. It's Bridget. And she's live streaming because I can hear it. What's this? My what? Oh, it's okay. I can Bridget just brought me an ice pack for my sting. Isn't that sweet? No, you should. Okay, that's fine. Alright. In we go. I will start at the rear. Oh, yeah. Oh, baby, baby. Yep. Yep. Alright, so these are ground cherries. Not a lot of people seem to know what these are. They're also known as Chinese lanterns. You'll see why in a bit. They're members of the tomatillo family. They have their own husk that they can survive in for like 5 weeks or something ridiculous once they've been harvested. They make excellent pies, and they're delectable on their own. They're like a snack. One of my grandpas, when he was very young, they were poor, they were farmers, you know, and ground cherries are prolific and they're incredibly easy to care for. And he remembers having ground cherries growing up, and these were his candy. So when I first planted them last year, and I made him a pie, he had tears in his eyes, just remembering the flavor. And isn't that neat how food can bring back memories and associations, good and bad? I just think that's neat. It's one of the reasons I enjoy gardening so much, because I have strong memories from doing this, and I haven't been doing it for that long. And that's another thing, if you're new to the channel, I guess you could call me a new vegetable gardener. I haven't been an avid vegetable gardener for more than 5-6 years. 5 years, really. Floral gardening a lot before that. I did it with my mom for a solid decade. Oops. These ground cherries became harvestable about a month later than the ones did last year. I ended up getting my garden in about 2 weeks later. I'm not sure if it was the soil or what. They have tons of sunlight, which they need. They just took their time, I guess. Which is fine. And thankfully, I planted half as many as I did last year, because they produce. And I had more than I knew what to do with last year, too. I ended up just letting most of them lay on the ground, which, as I'm saying that, makes me realize why so many of them went to seed and infiltrated my yard. Good grief. Isn't it something how talking things out loud sometimes leads to the most obvious revelation? So, a lot of these lanterns will have fallen on the ground that I'm picking up. That's good. There's more here than the ground crawlers can get to. I don't really have any varmints in my garden to worry about either. Weeds, of course. Varmints, no. A rabbit or two. It's okay. I can handle a wascally wabbit. Oh. Here. Just grabbed a raspberry. Plant. And raspberries, if you're looking to plant a hedge to keep people out, plant a bunch of raspberries, because not only is the food delicious, but they are thorny, so if somebody jumps on them, oh, they'll think twice about jumping a hedge and doing that again. Ward off intruders and grow fruit. Raspberries. If you plant ground cherries, spread them out. They don't look big at first, but you really start to grow about 5 weeks into it. Between 5 to 8 weeks, they're just growing like mad, taking up a ton of space, making a bunch of husks, and then eventually, it's so thick you can't even get in here. Again, I did better this year than last year, but next year I'll have to know to do it differently. And actually, I'm not planting any of these next year. I'm going to cut them down and then hope they come up in the same area, and I'm just going to have to thin them as I don't want them so I can create an area that I do. That's the goal now, because that area over there is infested with ground cherries like weeds. So hopefully this area will be infested and I can just pull them up where I don't want them. That's the hope. I already have enough for a pie here. That's what I'll be making this afternoon. I've been threatening a ground cherry pie for about 2 weeks now. I say threatening, but it's not a threat. It's mostly just talking about it. Kind of fun to have a plant like this that you go in and pick. You know, like, I'm picking gooseberries, look at me. They're not gooseberries, they're ground cherries. Like, none of them were this far out. They were all over here. Well, that's not true, I guess. Like, this stuff that's falling, the origin is right here. It's like a full meter in that direction because it grew up and toppled over. Yeah. Once again, I just get in there, put the plant to the side with my hips, and pick it up and throw it in the basket. Throw it in the basket. This makes for really exciting YouTube content, doesn't it? Yes, yes, it does. Well, my average duration of use is probably like a minute and a half. But that means you don't get to hear all of my awesome songs that I sing when I've got my butt sticking out of the ground cherries. And my gardener doesn't do this. No. He's done a good business for himself, though, I'll give him that. Like, creating a legitimate business, that's cool. I might even buy some of my gardener seeds next year to support his efforts. They're good. I think he's in gardening zone 5, or maybe 4B. He's about due east from me in Michigan, state of Michigan, along, I think he's on Lake Huron. Sounds about right. 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 Oh my. Oh, there's onions too. I've reached my onion territory. Because my plants are territorial, you know. I should have like David Attenborough narrating my garden. Behold, the wild ground cherry approaches the onion. The onion, cautious yet practical, extends a limb. The ground cherry starts to grow over it, so the onion releases a toxic chemical. The ground cherry counters by bringing in more vines to choke off the onion, and in time, the onion succumbs to the overwhelming power of the burgeoning influence of the ground cherries. Pretty good impersonation, right? Hey, PBS and BBC. I'd love a show. If anybody wants to take a quick time of that, or write PBS, wouldn't you like your kids to watch a show? Gardening with Mr. Chris. Or whatever. Whatever it's want to be called. Natural Sciences. Ugh, from an approachable giant. Oh, we got a bunch under here. That's good. Kind of pick them up one by one, but then I kind of don't. kind of reach in for a handful. Half of these are just husks. Oh, they must have fallen in a rainstorm and somebody got to them before I did. By somebody, of course, I just mean an animal. Gosh, this is probably the longest part of the live stream. Sorry, anybody who's sticking around that long. It's about as exciting as watching me harvest my raspberries. I'll probably do a live stream of that too, though, but not today. I don't have enough to pick. Oh, this is fun. These just keep falling off. It's like shaking a tree. Shaking a tree. Getting the fruit. Getting all the fruit when you're shaking the tree. Shaking the tree, eating the fruit. Look at me. Doodly-doo. Okay. Up we stand. Wow. A lot here, and this is only part of half. Well, maybe it's a little bit more than half. I was about to turn off the live stream, but I think I'll keep you going. Because you all love me so much. And you're probably waiting to see what a ground cherry looks like too, thinking, what's the word for that in my language? Or, what the hell is he growing? Will it grow in my garden? I have stories about ground cherries from when I was a kid. Etc. Etc. Und so weiter. I really wish I could play music and do a live stream at the same time. I did that once, and I got dinged with copyright violation. Doesn't that suck? Somebody even warned me about that in the comments too, like, hey dude, shut off your music or you won't be able to air it or monetize it. I didn't even get what they were saying, having never done one before. Get it now! It's funny, the plants are tickling me. Let's see, let's do some more shout-outs, shall we? This time of year, actually all times of year, I really like to watch Midwest Gardener. My buddy Jim. Jim's down in gardening zone 6A or 6B. Warmer than mine. What are you in, Jim? Kansas? Right? Kansas? Missouri? He grows a lot of really interesting things. I've loved watching him grow peanuts. That was fascinating to me, something I'd never try. I haven't yet, and I probably won't. Who knows? Some of my raspberries are from him. I planted some black raspberries. They're growing over in this area. It's nothing to look at right now. It's covered in weeds. But that's what happens when you do a late season transplant, you know? They'll survive. It's the roots that are important with raspberries. Here, take a look. Isn't that amazing? Love me. Ah, so fragrant. You know, I think that's probably good enough. I'll pick the rest of these by myself. We're probably reaching a time limit here. Turn around. Sit myself down. Make sure, of course, so that you can see the basket, because that's the important part. You know what? Here, let's just move over here. Yeah. Hello, all four of you. So this says 2017 Harvesting Live. Of course you can't see it. I didn't know what to expect. So, with that, I think I'm going to sign off. This bounty of peppers and tomatoes and spaghetti squash and zucchini and beans and ground cherries and cauliflower, and later I've got a bunch of other gourds and the raspberries some other time too. This was fun. I got a lot to use for the party this weekend, and looking forward to giving these to friends and family, and that's part of the joy of gardening. So if you watched any of this, maybe more than 5 minutes, let me know in the comment section below. It was fun just taking you out. So special thanks to my wife for letting me have a nice garden, and to my family and friends who have encouraged me, and to all of you who tune in to watch, wherever you are around the world. Until next time, happy gardening.